also because I wanted to talk about the quarterback situation in the NFL right now, because there's a handful of guys you saw today. Matthew Stafford restructured his deal for the Rams. Tua, you got to ask yourself, are they going to pay him and how much? Jordan Love not playing until he restructures the deal. And Dak Prescott, it appears like he may bet on himself and play out this contract and then be an elite quarterback as a free agent, which doesn't happen all the time. And then you see guys like Brock Purdy. What's his value going to be after one more year in the NFL? If the Niners win 12, 13 games and they make another Super Bowl run, is Brock Purdy that level?
I mean, he keeps on winning.
So I got
Prescott put up big numbers last year, as we went over yesterday during Last One Standing.
I feel like there's a pressure, and I think you're feeling this right now mostly with Green Bay. I said it yesterday. I love what Jordan Love brings to that team. I do. That you saw towards the end of the year. He's a likable teammate. Other guys on the team like him.
He's young.
He's
got great potential.
He's likable.
You've seen obvious improvement.
He's been there.
Right.
I was talking to Rob Parker in the kitchen yesterday about how it's not like he's some young kid. He's been there years now, developing behind Aaron Rodgers. So now they're getting the final product.
But the whole team is young.
And at the end of last year and the playoffs, if that's the Jordan Love you think you're getting moving forward, they're thinking he wants 50-ish a year. And then you got to ask yourself, I said I was going to compare it to our stupid reality shows we love.
Okay.
Danny, I know you and the wifey, besides all the sports you watch Love is Blind and Perfect Match.
Yeah, and she's been bugging me for a Peacock subscription so she could watch, what is it, Love Island? That's like the latest one everyone's yapping about.
I'll give you my password. So, Perfect Match. The key to that show, much like, remember back in the day when you used to watch Bachelor in Paradise, Covino? And trust me, there's a reason for me bringing this up.
I still watch that one. It's a good one. Bachelor in Paradise?
Yeah.
It's the best Bachelor series.
You know how, let's say there's 6 hot women and 6 studly dudes. Then they bring in 2 more hotties, which means 2 of the women have to go. Because if you don't have a match...
Yeah, they bring in the distractions.
You're out. I feel like that's the quarterback situation in the NFL, where a lot of times people are looking for just someone to stay afloat. Like, listen, Mahomes, not everyone could get there, Mahomes or Josh Allen. So maybe you say, well, who could I match up with to stay on this island? And I feel like there are teams like the Dolphins. You could say, I don't know if Tua is the guy that's going to win us a Super Bowl, but if not Tua, then what? Are you going to get some like placeholder that's not as good? Like, there are guys that are going to get paid just because the franchise's mindset will be, well, we deep down inside know we're a wild card and out type of team, but if we don't pay him, we might be a 6-win team.
Right. Who's better is what
so you're
saying.
Just trying to
they
stay on the
match
island
for now.
You're
just
trying
to stay afloat.
You're trying to stay on the island and
not be eliminated.
I feel like that's what you're seeing with teams like the Dolphins and, the Green Bay Packers. You might say, well, what has Jordan Love proven? A final good 4 to 5 games?
Like we said yesterday, they're an organization that has had great success with quarterbacks and knowing who's that next guy for their team, for their franchise.
But Jordan Love, believe it or not, you would think, well, does he really? Yes, he has the Packers right now by the huevos. Because if the Packers say, nah, we don't want to pay you, Jordan Love, then you're back to the drawing board, and right now you have a Packers fan base that thinks...
50-ish is proven sort of money. And he hasn't proven that. But he's proven that he's good.
Yeah.
And that he's worthy of working out some sort of deal for this team. But, and again, who the hell am I to tell anybody what they're worth? He knows his own value, right?
Yeah.
So I say that respectfully. Hey, let him get as much as he can. But that does seem really high for a guy who hasn't really proven that he could win at all.
Won a playoff game.
Yeah, but you said 50-ish.
Came within what? A couple plays of beating the 49ers? At Candlestick. In Santa Clara?
What are you thinking Brock Purdy gets?
Not exactly.
Right? So that's really where it gets confusing, because if a guy like Jordan Love is going to get 50-ish, then your boy Brock Purdy has a pretty solid argument.
But again, much like our dumb analogy with Perfect Match or Bachelor in Paradise, if you don't have a match, you're kicked off the island. And let's call the island the postseason. Every team just wants to be in the postseason.
You compare it to reality TV, I compare it to real estate. It's like, well, what did that house sell for? So ours has got to be worth X amount.
Wait, that down the block just sold for what?
Yeah. So if Jordan Love gets 50-ish, man, that really makes these other guys think.
So
hey, I think I'm worth about that much too then.
But DB, let me ask you. Jordan Love, I feel like he has him by the cojones because the Packers don't want to start over when they think they might have their guy, and the fan base feels like, wow, we won a playoff game. We came close to beating the Niners. So he sort of is oddly the driver's seat here.
I agree with you on that point, where ultimately I do still think teams, because of the franchise tag and the ability to keep a guy around longer, will have the ultimate leverage. But I'm with you, and I also say that when they were playing this game with Aaron Rodgers and trying to figure out, they had a backup plan that was Jordan Love. Now, you didn't know if it was going to work or not. There is no backup plan behind Jordan Love, and it's different than keeping Rodgers around a couple more years as opposed to being like, all right, are we really playing hardball with a guy who could be our quarterback for the next 10 or 15 years? So I'm with you on at least I do think that Jordan Love's side has more leverage than maybe other quarterbacks.
Yeah. Two is an interesting one, right? Because Miami has so much talent on that team, and there's some people that really believe in Tua, and other people are like, he's just not the guy. He's another interesting one where, again, do you want to stay on the island? Do you want to stay in the postseason? When you have the Buffalo Bills in your division, who with Josh Allen, you always got to figure with Josh Allen and that team, there are playoff possibilities.
Well, that works both ways, though. It really does, because then, all right, well, if not with Miami, then with who?
That's the Brock Purdy scenario in my mind. I'm a Niners fan.
But that match goes both ways for the most part. It's not like there's opportunities everywhere in the NFL for a starting quarterback position.
In any business, if you're a, quote, free agent, like if Colin Cowherd's like, hey, my contract's up, there's people that will want Colin Cowherd. There might be a show that no one really bites on. Like, look at, what's his face, the TV dude.
What TV dude?
Skip
Bayless.
Like right now, he's made millions and super successful beyond everyone. But right now, does anyone want him? Like look at Brock Purdy, Danny G. Next year, if the 49ers don't want to pay Brock Purdy $50-something million, do you think there's going to be a lot of other teams that are like, we want Brock Purdy, or do people still figure, oh, it works because it's him and Shanahan?
Yeah, it's what you just said. The latter. It's the latter.
It's what Covino also said.
Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Yeah, and like I said, more power to the team, as Dan Byer insinuated before, because you could throw it out there and try to see who bites, but you might end up on a whack-ass team.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice to win, too, right?
And we've talked about it before. Unfortunately, it's where Purdy was drafted, and he wasn't expected or looked at as a superstar.
It's where he was drafted.
Yeah.
He won over that fan base. He's winning there. He's fitting in nicely. It's maybe a West Coast city that he likes. I mean, San Francisco right now at this point. But
until he puts that whole team on his shoulders and wins a Super Bowl, though, people are going to look at him as Mr. Irrelevant.
I do think the team always has more leverage.
Yeah, there's still the narrative, Covino, that with Sam Darnold, the 49ers could have made a pretty nice playoff run.
Yeah, I don't know in that situation if I would agree with that point, but to your point of that narrative being out there is true.
Yeah.
That people just think that Brock Purdy is, or anybody is plug and play. And that's what I find so intriguing about them. And I just said it a few hours ago here on the network, and I've said this to you in private conversations. Like, the Niners have to win it this year.
It has to. They have to. They
because
have to.
Everything
I
then.
think we said that last year too.
This is it. This is it. This is it.
Dan, we're definitely talking about the narrative that's out there, because we laughed at the end of last season on that TV show Speak on FS1. They say, underneath on the screen it said, does Brock Purdy need to win 2 Super Bowls to prove that
Yeah, right?
I was like, what?
Honestly, Dan, I was saying yesterday when you weren't here, watching the final episode of Receiver really hurt my feelings because I had to watch the Niners lose, but from behind the scenes.
Sure.
And you're right, they're so close, and once they have to pay Brock that money, they can't keep everything.
And I think you're forgetting the main question that we were posing in our little pre-show meeting, and that was, well, what type of player are they? Are they going for the bag or are they going for the ring?
Yeah, I wrote that. Bag or money. Bag or ring, I mean.
There's certain players that see that there's an opportunity to actually win. And if that's their priority, then they're probably going to, then Brock Purdy will stay with the 49ers. But if he's the type of guy that's going to go for the money, he might not get it there.
If Brock Purdy, Dan Beyer, goes for a Baker Mayfield-esque team-friendly contract, like 30-something, I think that's great news for Niners fans.
Oh, yeah, that would be amazing.
And what's Jordan Love going for? Is he going for the bag? Is he going for the ring? It really depends on that person's makeup, what they're all about. It is their career. They have every right to get as much money as possible, but winning on a team you're comfortable with in a city that already accepted you, all those things do matter.
We talk so much, and I think in generalities, you talk about like, oh, well, now you got to pay the quarterback. How are you going to pay everyone else? But you have an aging Trent Williams. Your running back is likely falling off the cliff at some point in Christian McCaffrey. You now have to pay your quarterback.
I don't know. Did you see his thirst trap photo he posted yesterday?
No, I missed it.
Yeah, I thought it would be on your algorithm.
But they have enormous decisions that are happening. And the point about Purdy is I don't even think John Lynch knows what type of team you're going to make up post Purdy contract and how it's going to look.
That's so true.